What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So today we're going to do a Social Security increase and reform update. I'm going to show you the payment schedule for February, and then we're going to go into, I'll show you some different information when it comes to the cost of living adjustment. Now that everyone's received their cost of living adjustment, we're going to take a look at the cost of living adjustment versus CPI, so versus inflation. And so by doing this, we can see where you sit financially. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to go right over. First thing we'll take a look at, we're going to take a look at the calendar. So I like to do this every month. Okay, so nothing has changed here when it comes to doing this because it's important for us to know the payment dates when people will receive their benefits. Okay, so if we're looking at, let's go ahead and move to February here. And actually, before we do that, just so you guys know, and I talked about this last month, but I'll repeat it this month. So on the 30th, people receiving SSI, you're going to see your check on the 30th because the 31st and the 1st fall on a weekend. So because you normally receive your check on the 1st, you're not going to receive that check on the 1st because that's Sunday. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at February here. Now, for those of you who don't watch me on a regular basis, we'll go over what these colors mean and the different shapes. Okay, so this first color here, this blue, that's the second Wednesday. So if your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th, that's what that signifies. And here, this lighter blue is the third Wednesday. That's if your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th. And then down here, we see this salmon color with the blue corners here. That's the fourth Wednesday. That's if your birthday falls between the 21st and the 31st. And then this salmon color circle here, that is for SSI. And then this box here, that is for people receiving Social Security benefits that started receiving it prior to May of 1997. Okay, so now looking at the calendar for February, we have the 3rd here. So that's for people who received Social Security benefits prior to May of 1997. And then when we come here, we see the 11th. That is that second Wednesday. That's for people whose birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th. And then we have the 18th. That's for people whose birthdays fall between the 11th and the 20th. And then on the 25th, that's for people whose birthdays fall between the 21st and the 31st. And so looking at the 27th, that is for SSI. So people receiving SSI, you're going to see your check on the 27th. This check will be for March. Okay, so that's when it goes out because March 1st is on a Sunday. So now let's talk about the cost of living adjustment. So we know the cost of living adjustment was 2.8%. Is the cost of living adjustment keeping up with inflation? Let's go ahead and take a look. So I've created this little bar graph here, and I want to show you what's going on. So we know the cost of living adjustment right now is 2.8%. When we look at the overall CPI, now overall CPI for December, we're going to receive information for January and February, okay? So you're usually a month behind. That's how they put these out. So overall CPI, there's good news. Overall CPI is at 2.7%. That means that the cost of living adjustment at 2.8% is keeping up with inflation. And so it's a little bit stronger than what overall inflation is showing us. However, there is some bad news when it comes to food CPI. So food inflation, we're talking about food, so food at home as well as food if you go out to eat. It's at 3.1%. So 3.1%, that's higher than at 2.8%. And so that means that you've lost some purchasing power. With the cost of living adjustment, things are a little bit more expensive when it comes to food. Now, food at home. This is good news. Food at home is at 2.4%. So if you're not going out to eat and you're just eating at home, your purchasing power is above that 2.4%. So 2.8% is higher than 2.4%. And so that means that you can get more for your money if you are shopping at home. Now, when we look at shelter, this is bad news. 3.2%. So 3.2% is higher than the 2.8%. And so what is that showing us? It's showing us that we are paying more when it comes to shelter. So when we're looking overall inflation, they're saying it's at 2.7%. But when we look at these two categories, when it comes to food, just food overall, and we talk about shelter overall, we're still in a situation where the cost of living adjustment is not keeping up with those two categories. Now, one thing I want to mention here, when we're looking at the month change, because we were looking at year over year, but when we look at month change, so month over month, CPI is up. Okay, so it's up 0.3% from November to December. Food inflation is up plus 0.7. So from November to December, we see an increase. Food at home is also up plus 0.7%. So things were cheaper in November than they were in December. And then shelter is also up, plus 0.4%. So we're not moving in the right direction when it comes to inflation. And so this is what has economists a little nervous here. So when we're looking, if we go here, 2.7% in November, 2.7% in December, and then we don't have any information for October because of the government shutdown. But look at inflation for all of 2025. So we started in December. It was 2.9%. Now it went up in January to 3%. Then it dropped down to 2.8%. We saw it down at 2.4% in March and 2.3% in April. And then it started to go back up. And this is at the time when we started to see the tariffs kicking in. Okay, so we see 2.4% in May, 2.7% in June, 2.7% in July, 2.9% in August, 3% in September. And then we didn't get that information. Okay, we didn't get that information for October, and then we saw 2.7%, 2.7%. And so moving into 2026, what are we going to see when it comes to inflation? Right now, overall inflation, 2.7%, that's good news for people who receive that cost of living adjustment of 2.8%. But I think many people can attest to the price of products is really not going down. And when we look at food inflation overall, we're looking at it higher. It's higher than that 2.8%. And so that's probably what people are feeling. Let's say you go out and eat every once in a while, you're going to be paying more. You go to the grocery store, you might be paying a little bit less, but it depends on what items you're buying at the grocery store because certain items are a little more expensive than other items. And we just saw the president in the Oval Office, and you had the Secretary of Agriculture saying, look, we have these items. And I think she showed like 10 items where the price was less than it was a year prior. But that's only 10 items. What about the rest of the items that people don't just go to the store and buy just eggs and milk. People go to the store and they buy different things. And so just because you're showing us some products that are less expensive when it comes to overall inflation, and just you can look at overall inflation from year to year, overall inflation is 2.4% when it comes to food at home, so food at the grocery store. So we know that the cost of food at the grocery store is more expensive than it was just a year ago. Now, some of that can be expected. The Federal Reserve has said, look, we want overall inflation at around 2%. That is what people are most comfortable with. And so right now we're at 2.7%, so it needs to come down lower. Now, if it starts going back up, that is going to be a huge problem and a huge sign that the Federal Reserve is going to have to do something when it comes to that. And so I want to know what you guys think about this. How is your purchasing power? Are you able to buy more now than you were a year ago? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.